Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a look at the really intense reactions around Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex.
It's a topic that definitely generates a lot of heat, yeah.
For sure. So we've got an article called Examining Meghan's Detractors and also three quite lively YouTube videos from a creator named Lilac Glow.
Okay.
And our goal here really is just to understand why. Why these strong opinions? We want to draw out the insights from these sources, without taking sides ourselves.
Right, just exploring the perspectives presented in the material. So
Yes.
where do we start that article?
Yeah, let's start there. Examining Meghan's detractors. It jumps right in with an observation.
Okay, what's the main observation?
It suggests that a lot of the loudest critics seem to be middle-aged white women.
An interesting demographic focus. Does it speculate why?
It does. It sort of flips the idea of resentment.
Okay.
Resentment that a mixed-race woman married, a very eligible royal bachelor.
And it connects that resentment to race.
It poses the question, basically, is this resentment, which it illustrates with someone named Biebs Kelly as an example, does that equate to racism? It puts the idea out there.
Okay, so potential race and status resentment as one factor. What about the YouTube videos? How do they frame it?
Well, the first Lilac Glow video, the title is pretty direct, something like "It makes no sense." The speaker seems genuinely baffled.
Baffled by the intensity.
Exactly, by the intensity and, from her perspective, the lack of, a logical reason for so much negativity aimed at Meghan.
Does she give specific examples of this? Illogical criticism?
Yeah, she does. One that stood out was Meghan apparently just saying the word boo.
Oh,
Yeah, just boo. And apparently that led to people calling her a narcissist and a liar.
wow. Okay, that does sound like
Yeah,
quite a jump.
right. And the speaker uses this phrase, the punishment never fits the crime. That seems to be a core theme for her.
That even small things get blown way out of proportion.
Precisely. She also mentions an interview, I think it was with Drew Barrymore. And during some quick, lighthearted personal questions, commenters apparently accused Meghan of lying.
Again, assuming the worst, it sounds like.
That's the feeling the speaker conveys. Like, nothing Meghan does can just be normal. It leads her to call the whole situation just weird.
That word weird captures that sense of disproportion, doesn't it? That feeling of, why is this generating so much noise?
Totally. And the speaker even throws in a little aside, like they share a birthday or something, which just adds to her personal feeling that the whole thing is unusual.
A personal connection reinforcing the sense of strangeness. Does the video criticize anyone specific?
Oh, yeah. It takes a pretty direct shot at Bethany Frankel.
Oh. What's the angle there?
It basically questions Frankel's standing to critique Meghan's life choices, making a pretty pointed comment about Frankel's own marital history.
Ooh, okay. Getting personal.
Yeah. And interestingly, it contrasts Meghan's perceived moves with Frankel selling her company, Skinny Girl.
So, kind of implying a double standard in how their ventures or life choices are judged.
That seems to be the implication. Like, why is one seen as savvy business and the other something else? It definitely makes you pause and think about the metrics being used.
Right. Are we applying the same rules to everyone? Which I guess leads nicely into the next layer this deep dive uncovered.
It does. The second Lilac Glow video introduces a whole different angle, more sociological, maybe.
Okay, intriguing. What is it?
It talks about this idea of the soft life or soft girl era.
Soft life. What does that entail?
It's described as Black women choosing to focus on self-care, simple pleasures. Things like, making candles, baking bread, having tea parties, making those nice fruit platters or crudités.
Okay, so focusing on well-being, domestic arts, simple joys. How does that connect to Meghan?
The argument in the video is that some of the criticism Meghan gets for doing exactly these kinds of everyday, gentle activities is actually part of a broader backlash.
Backlash against Black women embracing this soft life. Why would there be a backlash against baking bread?
Well, the video links it to resisting what it calls rage bait.
Rage bait. You mean attempts to provoke anger or negativity?
Yeah. The idea is that some people want to see Black women constantly struggling or angry, and when they choose softness and peace instead, like Meghan documenting drying citrus or making sun tea.
Activities the Daily Mail apparently focused on negatively.
Exactly. The video suggests that by doing these things, by focusing on home and simple pleasures, Meghan and perhaps Black women more broadly who embrace this are seen as sort of defying the expectation to be perpetually agitated or engaged in conflict.
So the soft life activities become a form of quiet resistance, and that's what draws fire, by not taking the bait.
That's the theory presented. It suggests the negativity isn't really about the fruit platters themselves, but about what they represent a refusal to engage with induced outrage.
That's a really complex and quite powerful argument. It reframes seemingly trivial criticisms into something potentially much deeper, possibly with racial undertones related to controlling how black women express themselves.
It definitely adds another layer to consider. It pushes you to look at the framing of these everyday things.
Okay, so we have potential race status issues, disproportionate reactions, and now this soft life backlash theory. What about the third video?
The third Lilac Glow video shifts focus slightly again. This time, it's more about Meghan's personality traits as potential triggers.
Ah, so who she is, rather than just what she does.
Kind of. The speaker describes her using words like smart, independent, confident, assertive, ambitious, and crucially, winning.
Positive traits,
Yeah.
generally speaking. So how are they framed as triggers for negativity?
This is where it gets into the psychology of the observer. The video suggests that these very qualities can rub some people the wrong way, specifically because it's Meghan exhibiting them.
Because she's an outsider in that context.
Yes, exactly. The video points to her being American, a divorcee, mixed race, an outsider within the traditional royal structure who perhaps didn't just quietly conform.
So less fairy tale princess, more disruptor.
That's the idea. That her refusal to fit a certain mold, combined with these confident traits, challenges some people's expectations or even biases.
And the video suggests this says more about the person reacting.
Pretty much. It brings up that common psychological idea. Strong reactions often reveal our own stuff, right? Our own insecurities or biases more than they objectively assess the other person.
It touches on double standards too, doesn't it?
It does. It gives examples like how Meghan's confidence might be labeled arrogance, while the same trait in a man might be seen as strong leadership.
Or ambition being seen as calculating versus, say, driven.
Exactly that kind of thing. Or setting boundaries being called selfish, when for someone else it might be praised as good self-care.
So the same actions or traits are filtered through different lenses depending on who's displaying them, potentially influenced by factors like gender, race, or perceived role.
Right. And the video wraps that part up by suggesting essentially that people should maybe look inward when they feel a strong urge to criticize someone like Meghan. Ask why it bothers them so much.
Okay, so that adds another significant piece. Meghan's own characteristics and persona interacting with observer bias and societal expectations.
Yeah. So if we try to pull all these threads together from the sources,
Mm-hmm.
what's the overall picture?
Well, it seems like there isn't one single explanation, according to these sources anyway. It's more like a combination of factors.
Right.
You've got the initial point from the article about potential resentment, possibly tied to race and her marrying into the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the strong theme from the first YouTube video about the sheer intensity and perceived illogical nature
Yeah.
of the criticism, the punishment not fitting the crime.
Yeah, the weirdness factor.
Exactly. Then the second video introduces that whole sociological angle about the soft life and potential backlash against black women choosing peace over engaging with rage bait.
Which connects everyday activities to a larger cultural dynamic.
It does. And finally, the third video zeroes in on Meghan herself, her confidence, her ambition, her status as an outsider, suggesting these traits act as triggers, potentially revealing more about the critic's own biases and the double standards they might apply.
So it's a mix of potential external biases, the nature of the criticism itself, cultural resistance, and her own personality interacting with all of that.
That seems to be the synthesis of the perspectives we looked at. It's
Yeah.
definitely complex.
It really is. So maybe the final thought for you listening is something like this. How much do our own filters, societal expectations, unconscious biases actually color how we see public figures?
Mm.
And when we see these really intense reactions flying around, are they truly about the person's actions? Or are they maybe sometimes reflecting something back at us, the observers?
A challenging question to sit with. Definitely food for thought.
Absolutely. Thanks for diving deep with us on this one.